The answer is D. So any other answers? Anyone want to try? Only Maheshwar has gone for the answer. What about others? You don't want answer? I don't know the answer. Vinisha are telling A, and A by Lalit Kumar, China. So you people are so unpatriotic. People are so unpatriotic because the answer is, after telling patriotism, Ashwin, you are coming with B. Yeah, it is India. India is the answer. So for rice, the world's largest exporter is rice in India. But not production and productivity, we are not number one. But when it comes to export of rice, it is India, the largest exporter. Fine. What about this question? Because this question has been asked twice. Two times UPSC has asked this question. The same question in 2019 as well as in 2018. So very important question, because when it comes to edible oils, we are almost importing 2/3 of our edible oils from foreign countries. Yeah, you are right, Archana. So we are importing 2/3 of our oil demands only from foreign countries. So only 1/3 of our production are met through our domestic production and productivity. So through domestic, only 1/3 we are able to match our demands. 2/3 we are only importing. So the first one is perfectly right. See, around 70%, it is around 70% we are importing. Fine. So we impose duty, for example, on soybean oil. Soybean oil, we impose lot of duty. Then olive oil, then safflower oil. So for these and all, we are imposing some import duties. Doesn't mean that we don't have a blanket on all the oil imports. No, it is not like that. We have some duty on some of the oilseed crops. So coming to the topic of the day. So last class we finished with APMC, I guess. Did we finish with APMC? So any doubt with APMC? So we started contract farming, or we completed contract farming? APMC not started. We just started contract farming. Okay, fine. We completed with farmers producers organization. Fine. Okay, completed contract farming. Okay, fine. So with contract farming, we will continue again the third part of contract farming, or the second part of contract farming. That is a new amendment to the existing Farm 3 laws. So that will be in the next class. That will be your concluding class also. So we will discuss that, and now we will go with, okay, why contract farming was introduced by. Okay, fine. We will see that in the next class. I will continue with the 3 farm laws, because I have to complete APMC before I go with the 3 farm laws. I thought APMC is completed for you. Okay, fine. So now coming to natural farming. So when we see natural farming, it means that it 100% eco-friendly. So all the agricultural farming system, which is 100% eco-friendly, is called as natural farming. So all the agriculture system, farming system, which is 100% eco-friendly, it is called as natural farming. So what are the types of natural farming? First is organic agriculture. Second one is zero budget natural farming. Third one is called as permaculture. permaculture. Fourth one is called as biodynamic farming. Biodynamic farming. So these are the natural farming agricultural system, which means that they are 100% eco-friendly. They are 100% eco-friendly. So they use only organic inputs. So all these four, see, not only four, but there are many types of natural farming. So that is for agriculture graduates. For a normal GS based questions, these four are almost enough. We don't have to go deep into other agriculture farming system, which includes only natural farming. So organic agriculture. So they all work under the principle of organics, which means that we do not use any inorganic compounds, no pesticides, no chemicals, or no inorganic inputs. So 100% we are using only what? Organic inputs, be it organic, be it zero budget natural farming, be it permaculture or biodynamic agriculture. So first we will be seeing about zero budget natural farming. So zero budget natural farming, as the name suggests, this was introduced by an Indian scientist from Maharashtra called as Subhash Balekar. Maybe spelling you can check. Balekar, Balakher, Balekar something. I think it's a Marathi name. Spelling you will check. Subhash Balekar. So he's from Maharashtra. So what was the reason why he went for this? Subhash Balekar is a scientist, soil scientist. So he was doing research why many farm suicides are happening in the region of Maharashtra. So he studied that the major farm suicides are happening because of the moneylender issues, because most of the farmers who are getting suicide or committing suicide have borrowed money from moneylenders. That was the first reason. Second, too much input cost, which means for seeds, for agriculture inputs, for fertilizers, for all other intercultural operations, the farmers are dependent on availability of the outside institutions, for example the government institutions or the private institutions, for their input needs. For that they started to borrowing from moneylenders. So what he decided, let us go for a system where we do not depend on any other alternate or any other external institutions for our agricultural needs. So he coined that as zero budget natural farming. So what it means, so according to him, no farmer should go for loan from any foreign institutions or any government or private institutions. So the capital must be mobilized by the farmers himself. The capital must be mobilized by the farmer himself, first thing. So no dependence on any institution, government institution or non-government institution, for any loan. So what it means, whatever investment he is having, you should put in for agriculture, first thing. Second, all the inputs like pesticides, chemicals, that is organic pesticides, organic chemicals, etc., has to be produced by himself within his own farm inputs, his own farm resources. What it means, suppose if you are having cow dung, use cow dung to produce some types of farmyard manure. If he's having cow, then that is not a problem. If you don't have a cow, some other materials are suggested by him to produce this organic inputs. So if you have pesticides, so we need some organic pesticide, use some neem leaves and etc. for pungam leaves, etc. for producing organic pesticide. So like this, we should completely avoid our dependence on foreign companies or foreign players or the banks or the government institutions for our input needs. So for all things, if we start to not depend, then what he says, then the agriculture will be profitable. So because the input cost and loan, these are the highest percentage share of any agricultural production. So if we can bypass these two, then most of the Indian farmers will see this profitability. So this is his concept. But this concept is a flawed one. According to many scientists, they are saying this is a flawed one, because suppose even though if they are putting in their family labor, that labor cost has to be imputed. Sometimes even though if it is not family labor, for harvest and all, they have to depend on some other persons for labor issues. So it means that it cannot be technically called a zero budget natural farming. But still Subhash Balekar pushes this as zero budget natural farming just to give a familiarity for this concept. Because if you go by this concept, which means that the farmers will not incur any losses, or at least they will come with some type of profitability. That is the point Subhash Balekar is willing to say to the scientist. So this is what is zero budget natural farming. So now it works on four important pillars. Zero budget natural farming works on 4 important pillars. So first is called as Bichamrit. These are all Marathi word. Bichamrit or Sanskrit, I don't know that. First is called Bichamrit. So this is kind of a organic material which is used for seed treatment. So this is used for seed treatment. So since UPSC is asking some terminologies, so this terminologies may be also asked. So this is called as Bichamrit, which means that it's like a organic material where the seeds of that particular crops will be used and it will be immersed, and that seeds will be allowed to rest for 1 or 2 days. Then that organic material will imbibe with that seeds, and that seeds, when it is sown, it will become more robust and vigor. So which means that the seed will grow with very high vigor. So we call it as seed vigor. So to improve the seed vigor and seed germination percentage, so we are using our seeds with this Bichamrit solution. Second is called as Jivamrit. So let us not discuss about how it is made and all. So it is not our duty, but just note down the terminologies because UPSC is asking some terminologies. So second is Jivamrit. This is like organic tonic. It's like an organic tonic where these tonics will be used instead of pesticides as well as fertilizers. So this is called a Jivamrit. This is produced using cow dung and cow urine, etc. And all these put and they are allowed to ferment, and that fermented liquid is called as Jivamrit. This Jivamrit will act as a pesticide, it will act as a fertilizer, so it will act as a nutrient. So it has multiple uses. This is called Jivamrit. Then third important pillar is mulching. Already I told you mulching. So mulching we do to prevent soil erosion, to prevent evaporation, to improve the soil fertility. So multiple uses for mulching, and also weed growth. And fourth concept is called as Vapasa. Waapasa. Vapasa. So what do you mean by Vapasa? So I don't know what these are. I think it's Marathi or Sanskrit. If I don't know, you can suggest me whether it is Marathi or Sanskrit. Maybe Sanskrit, I guess. So Vapasa. So Vapasa means, see, if this is agricultural field, normally what we'll do, when we irrigate the entire field. So when we irrigate the entire field. But according to Subhash Malekar, he is asking us, do not irrigate the entire field. Instead, he is asking only to irrigate the alternate rows, which means that in a particular time, when you irrigate agriculture field, just irrigate only 50% of that particular portion. Other 50% must not be exposed to water, because soil is made up of equal amount of air and water. So when you are irrigating for 100% of the field, so 100% of the field is completely immersed with water, which means that all the air is been replaced with that particular moisture. So here the soil air is getting distracted. So now what is saying, when you go for irrigation, irrigate only 50% of that field. Either go for one side on one day, other side on the other day, or on the alternate days, like alternate rows on the alternate days. Like this, when you go, we can irrigate only 50% of the soil, and 50% will be having the soil air. So soil air and soil moisture will be balanced through the philosophy called as Vapasa. So according to him, if we can balance soil air and soil moisture, that is more soil fertility, because soil microorganisms are more robust, soil microflora and microfauna will be more robust, which means that will increase the profitability, that is fertility of that particular soil. This is what is called a zero budget natural farming. So how it is different from organic agriculture or organic farming? Zero budget natural farming. So I told you both work on the principle of organics. So both uses only organic inputs. So zero budget natural farming as well as organics use only both organic inputs. In that way, they are all one and the same. In organic agriculture, we can use hybrid seeds. New varieties. But in zero budget natural farming, only traditional seeds are used. Normally, traditional seeds are used. So we don't go for this high yielding varieties, high yielding hybrids and all. So normally that is forbidden here. In organic agriculture, we will not focus on zero tillage and all. Maybe optional. The tillage concepts are optional. We can go for conventional tillage, or we can go for zero tillage or minimal tillage. But in zero budget natural farming, minimal tillage is a mandatory. So in both these concepts, see, in all natural farming, agricultural farming system, we cannot use GM crops. All forbids GM crops. So this is common to both. And one more point, organic agriculture will be capital intensive. I already told you, till capital intensive, because organic agriculture is not so cheap. It is highly costlier, and zero budget natural farming is cheaper. It is not capital intensive. This is the biggest difference between these two. So fine. So any doubt with zero budget natural farming or organic agriculture? GM crops, genetically modified crops. GM crops means genetically modified crops. So in natural agriculture or natural farming, we cannot use genetically modified crops like BT cotton. We will study in the subsequent slides. BT cotton, we cannot use BT cotton. So genetically modified crops cannot be used in zero budget farming, organic agriculture. So all natural agriculture system, we cannot use GM crops. Okay, I will go a little bit slow, no problem. I told GM crops should not be used. Okay, not use. Cannot be used in both the agricultural, that's organic agriculture, and zero budget natural farming. Okay, cannot be used. That's the point I am telling. Okay, so coming to mixed farming. So what do you mean by mixed farming? Any other doubts? Okay, fine. So coming to mixed farming. So what do you mean by mixed farming? I already told what is mixed cropping. So cropping means two or more crops in a particular field. Mixed farming means two or more agricultural activities in a single farm. So if this is the farm, so suppose this is the farmhouse, So here, instead of going for only crop cultivation, along with crop cultivation, we can go for some poultry. That is allied activities. So allied activities. So what are the allied activities we can go? Normally we can go for poultry or dairy. And we can for sericulture. So sericulture is what? Silkworm. Sericulture. Sometimes we can go for honeybee production. So that is nothing but apiculture. Fish ponds. We can establish fish ponds. So like this, we are combining agricultural activity along other allied activities, like forestry. We call it agroforestry. So we can go for agroforestry. So all these things are put together can make a mixed farming more profitable. Then what is the role for mixed farming? First thing, it is high resource use efficiency. This mixed farming has more resource use efficiency because the crop residues will be converted as food for dairy. The dairy waste, that is the cattle waste, that is the cow dung and all, will be converted into organic residues, or it can be also fed for the fishes. The poultry is there. The crop what we harvest can be fed to the poultry as feed. Then the poultry waste can be put into the fish feeds, or it can be put as a crop feed. So like this, we can have a cycle of nutrients. One waste is the input for the other activity. For example, what is waste for a crop cultivation will be input for dairy activity. So what is the waste for dairy activity will be input for fish. What is the waste for this fishes will be input for agricultural cropping system. So like this, one will be used as the other input, which means that it is almost, we are creating zero waste. We are creating almost zero waste. All the waste will be converted into either manure or some other inputs. So we are trying to eliminate the waste, or almost we are trying to make the waste negligible. So where we are using the resource very efficiently, and again we try to minimize the cost. So we try to minimize the cost and maximize the profit. We are trying to maximize the profit. So not only that, very importantly, this is risk mitigation. For example, if crop is failing, at least I will get inputs, I will get revenue from poultry, I will get revenue from dairy, or I will get revenue from any other particular allied activities like fishery. So risk mitigation. So something or else will give me some source of income. Nothing will go unprofitable. Something, or at least one will give hand to me in terms of any distress situation. That is what is called as mixed farming. So any doubt in the mixed farming? So allied activities, combining more allied activities. So an improved version of mixed farming is called as integrated farming system. This question will be asked several times in your UPSC mains as well as in interview. Sorry, in prelims, mains as well as interview. Okay, fine. In the prelims, it was asked twice: integrated farming system or mixed farming. Both one and the same. Mixed farming and integrated farming system are one and the same. Are one and the same. Integrated farming system and mixed farming are one and the same. Then why two terminologies? Can we name only one terminology for both the concept? Why two terminologies? There are minute differences. There are some minute differences. And what are the minute differences? So in integrated farming system, it is a very recent concept. It's a very recent concept. But mixed farming is a traditional concept, or it is a age-old practice. It is a age-old practice. Even before the improved version of this, that is integrated farming system, is a more modern concept. It's more modern concept, and it is more scientific. It is more scientific. It is more scientific, and it is more skillful. It is more skillful, and it is capital intensive. It is capital intensive, and it is can be followed by large, see, not only large, mostly by large farmers, mostly by large or big farmers, or sometimes medium or big farmers, medium or large farmers. So these are the minute differences. These are the minute differences between mixed farming and integrated farming system. First, I told you they are one and the same. What is one and the same? I mean, so only, yeah, I'm telling for all these points for integrated farming system. I told you integrated farming system and mixed farming are one and the same, which means that along with agricultural activity, we are going for many other agriculture allied activities. Like along with crop cultivation, we are going for poultry, we are going for medicinal crops, we are going for fishes, we are going for sericulture. So like that, we are going for many other allied activities. Then if both are one and the same, what is the biggest differences? Then the first difference I told you, integrated farming system is more modern, which means that it is a very recent concept. It is a very recent concept. Then I told you integrated farming system is more scientific. Then integrated farming system is more skillful. We need more skill to organize the integrated farming system. Then sometimes integrated farming system will involve more capital. And finally, integrated farming system is more suited for large and medium farmers. For example, we need more number of land for practicing this integrated farming system. It doesn't mean that small farmers cannot do this, but most suitable for the large and medium farmers. If you are small farmer or marginal farmer, we can go for mixed farming, which is less scientific, less skillful, and less capital intensive, etc. So that is the difference between mixed farming and integrated farming system. And why I call it is more scientific? Why I'm calling it more scientific? For example, in integrated farming system, we'll be using information and communication technology. We will be using ICT. But this is not possible in mixed farming. For example, I will be using satellites for covering my crop. For example, I will be using satellites to see the moisture level of my soil. I will be using the pest and disease condition. What is the harvest stage? So, for example, we will be using GPS. I will be using GPS, or sometimes I will be using remote sensing. Or sometimes I can use drones. So here I will be focusing most on data. So integrated farming system, I will be gathering data, and using this data I will make agriculture more profitable. So that is the reason why I told you it is more modern and it is more scientific. Integrated farming system is more scientific, and to use these data and all, you need more skill and capital. Fine. Not only these things. For example, we can go for biogas. So we can go for biogas. So when you have cow dung, which is the outcome of dairy industry or dairy farming, so that cow dung can be used to produce biogas. Not only that, you can use solar panels to produce solar energy. So along with agriculture, we can also do this renewable energy source, renewable energy production, solar panels. So this scheme is called as Kusum scheme. So what is Kusum scheme? Anyone know what is Kusum scheme? So installing solar panels in the agricultural fields. To produce solar energy. So when you produce solar energy, you can use that solar energy for your own needs, like farm needs, domestic needs. Suppose if you are having surplus, then you can give that solar energy to the grid, national grid. So either solar energy you can use for your own domestic consumption, on when you are having a surplus of energy, you can donate it to the national grid. You can donate it to the national grid. That is how this solar energy panels can be installed in your field and can be used for production of solar energy, which is a renewable energy source. So like this is more scientific. That's the reason I told you all these integrated farming system is more of scientific in nature. Fine. So coming to GM crops. So coming to GM crops. GM means genetically modified crops. So I want to know what is your opinion on GM crops. How many of you are standing for GM crops, or how many of you are against this GM crop technology? Anyone supporting GM crops or anyone against GM crops? Akshaya is against GM crops. Supporting to some extent. What is that some extent, Gunal? How can you explain? Either go this way or that way, but don't see in like Buddha and all. Don't stay in the middle path. UPSC will reward when you take a position, either this side or that side. But when you are in the middle path, UPSC will beat you severely. That too, particularly in interview. Either take a stand, that side or this side, but don't be in the middle. Don't follow this Buddha but middle path and all. Okay, fine. So I'm getting mixed. Okay, supporting as well as some against. So those who are all against this GM crops, what is your data to support your point? From where you are saying this is wrong, just give me some scientific reference. Whether Indian government has said anything, or whether the union has said anything, or whether Food and Agriculture Organization has said anything, or whether Indian Council for Agriculture or ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research, has given any scientific references. So if you are saying no, then tell me what is the source for telling no. That is the only thing I need. Other than that, I don't need any other references, because most of the opinion for GM crops are taken from newspapers. So the problem is we cannot form a solution, or we cannot form an opinion completely based only on newspapers, because the entire world community is biased towards GM crops. Some support, some do not support, which means that we need solid evidences both for supporting as well as for rejecting. At least for supporting you don't need much, but for rejecting you need a big solid references, because rejecting a government technology or rejecting a suggestion by government, you should be more careful, because in UPSC you are speaking against a technology which is going to be the future of the world. Because when the population is increasing so robustly, then we cannot do agriculture in the traditional way, and we cannot sustain the entire world population. Then if GM is the only available option, then what will you do? That is the question UPSC will be asking. So we do not know how questions may come. So blindly don't take any. So I'm not against, I'm not for. So I just assume that I'm neutral. But when you are taking a stand, see it in a macro level. Don't see it in a micro level. I will tell you first. I will tell you what GM crops, etc. Then we will see whether they are good or bad. Say according to GM crops, we have how many commercial GM crops grown in India? How many commercial GM crops? I will tell you. What are the commercial GM crops grown in India? How many crops are grown in India? Any idea? How many crops? 145. Sivapriya 145. She's coming with the answer 145. So when it comes to GM crops, right now we have BT cotton. So BT cotton. So BT cotton is the only one commercially cultivated GM crop in India. It is the only one crop we are cultivating commercially in India. So the commercially cultivated crop is BT cotton only. BT cotton only. So the answer is only one. Answer is only one. Other than this, we have many commercially available, but problem is it has all been banned by the Indian government. It has been all banned by the Indian government. For example, we have BT brinjal. So this was given permission to grow in 2009 and 2013. The Supreme Court issued a moratorium. That means it has banned. Then DMH11 mustard. DMH11 mustard. DMH mustard. This is also given permission in 2017 and later withdrawn because of huge people resistance. Huge people resistance. So right now we have only one commercially available BT cotton. The BT brinjal or the mustard, they are all only in the research R&D. They have not been commercially put into cultivation. So the answer is only one. So this question was asked once. Fine. So BT cotton, BT stands for Bacillus thuringiensis. Bacillus thuringiensis. Thuringiensis. So BT stands for Bacillus thuringiensis. So it is a soil bacterium. So Bacillus thuringiensis is a soil bacterium. Very important, it is a soil bacterium. So it is a soil bacterium. It consists of a gene. It is called as Cry1AC gene. Cry1AC gene. Cry1AC gene. This gene produces an endotoxin. Endotoxin. So Bacillus thuringiensis is a soil bacterium, and from that soil bacterium there is a small gene called as Cry1AC gene, and this gene produces an endotoxin. Then what is the role of this endotoxin? What happens when assume this is cotton seed. Assume this is cotton seed. This is cotton seed. So what we will do, we will take that endotoxin from that particular soil bacteria and we will put it into the gene through genetic engineering. So now this BT seed is having this endotoxin producing gene. So when a particular pest is consuming this BT leaf or BT cotton leaf or something else, then this endotoxin will affect the nerve of that particular pest, and it will finally kill that particular pest. So this endotoxin producing gene is responsible for killing the pest of cotton. Normally what type of pest we call it as bollworms. The pests are called as bollworms. There are different types of bollworms in India all over the world, and this BT cotton is more robust against most of the bollworms in the world. Fine. This is called as BT cotton. The same thing is applicable for BT brinjal. The same gene is taken from Bacillus thuringiensis and it is incorporated in the brinjal seeds. It is called as BT brinjal. Then coming to mustard, DMH11. So this is Dara mustard hybrid. Can you say again BT cotton? I will tell you in the break. Others, are you all okay with BT cotton? See, simple. BT means Bacillus thuringiensis. They are having an endotoxin producing gene. That gene is taken from this soil bacterium, and that gene is incorporated into a cotton seed, and that cotton seed is now a BT cotton seed. So when that seed is sown in a particular soil, that crop will emerge. When a particular pest is eating that crop, the leaves or some other parts, that pest will consume that BT toxin also. So when it consumes that BT toxin will affect the nerves of that particular pest. Then once the nerves are affected, the pest will starve and then finally they will die. This is how the mechanism works. BT mechanism works. So DMH11 mustard. This is for mustard. So this is this is to improve, this is to improve the, so this is to improve the fertilizing capacity, fertilizing capacity of the mustard crop, okay. This is to improve the fertilizing capacity of the mustard crop. See, earlier I told you to improve the crop resistance against pest, bt cotton, but here it is not resistance against pest, but what happens in mustard, the pollination is the biggest problem, the pollination. So they are having a technology under DMH11. So what is that technology? Fine. Again, there is a soil bacterium, it is called as Bacillus amelo. So this is a single word, Bacillus liquefaciens. This is the bacterium. Dara, Dara mustard hybrid. Dara mustard hybrid. Okay, this is the soil bacterium, Bacillus amelo, AMAYLO, amelo liquefaciens, LIQUE, liquefaciens, LIQUE. I have typed the last word in your chat, liquefaciens, amelo liquefaciens. So this amelo liquefaciens, this is a soil bacterium. So this is having a gene called as Barnase and Bastar. So these are the three genes produced by a particular soil bacterium, Barnase and Bastar. These are the three genes. So these three genes, when incorporated into the mustard seed, for example, this is the mustard seed, when these three are incorporated into this mustard seed, the mustard's pollination capacity is increasing. So which means that the fertilizing capacity is increasing. The pollination is nothing but fertilization. In human we call it as fertilization. In plant we call it as pollination, which is nothing but fertilization, where the fusing of male and female gametes are robust. So earlier the fusing was not good. Between the male and female gametes, but because of incorporating these three genes into the mustard seed, now the pollination capacity is increasing. When the pollination capacity is increasing, the fertilization is good, which means that more flowering will happen. When flowering is more production and productivity is more. So to increase the yield of that particular crop, we are going for this GM mustard, that is DMH mustard, Dara mustard hybrid 11. Fine. So if you see this question, you will be able to understand. This GMS mustard, just try the answer, I will tell you who released this. What is the answer for this? Oh, it is bird, huh? C, B. So why are some going for B? Why the option 3 is right? Okay, fine. So this mustard has been developed by Delhi University, not IRI. Okay, this is developed by Delhi University. So third option is right, wrong. So when third is wrong, and first I told you this is not for fertilization, it is for pollination. This is nothing but pollination. That is what is given here, cross pollination. Only 2 is right here. Only 2 is right because it is released by இது லைட் போடுறீங்களா? இது லைட் போட சொல்றாங்க ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸ். Okay, lights will be switched on. Light. So it is not by Punjab Agriculture University, it is by Delhi University. It is by Delhi University. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So now we will get into subsidies. So video audio clear, right? No, only Delhi University, nothing else. Only Delhi University came with this idea, this innovation. Delhi University only Delhi University. No other partners, no other partners. Delhi University completely is the responsible person for this. Option D. So the answer for this is C. Procurement incidentials and distribution cost. Procurement incidentials and distribution cost. So we'll go into subsidies. Fine. So before going to subsidies, I must tell you what are the different steps. Why GM crops are banned? See, GM crops are banned because nothing but people resistance. Only because of people resistance. The government is interested in going for GM crops. The government is interested in going for GM crops, but all throughout the country, the resistance of the people is very high. Not only people resistance, the farmers are also highly resisting for this technology. That is the reason why, even though the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, so note down this committee. So Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. This committee gives the permission for commercial cultivation of GM crops. This committee gives the permission for commercial cultivation of GM crops. This committee has given permission for BT brinjal as well as for mustard. But unfortunately, because of people's resistance, both these were put under moratorium. Moratorium means complete blanket ban. We do not know when they will be reinitiated. So this committee has given the permission, but Supreme Court has intervened and Government of India has intervened, and again this was put into a blanket ban. So Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. So it is under the Ministry of Forest. It is Ministry of Environment and Forest. Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee is the ultimate committee for giving permission for GM crops. It is the ultimate committee for giving permission for commercial cultivation of GM crops. GM crops. Fine. Simple. It is people resistance, nothing else. We do not know. Actually, we do not have any proof to say whether they are good for health or they are bad for health. We don't have enough evidences. But there are many NGOs which are saying they are bad for health. But not even a single government institution is saying they are bad for the health. That is the reason why we cannot blindly go against GM crops. ICAR has not given any proof against the ill effects of GM crops. ICMR has not given any proof against GM crops. Food and Agriculture Organization or UN bodies has never come against GM crops. If that is the case, then based on whose readings or based on whose data we are resisting GM crops, that is very, very crucial. So if you ask me, I will support GM crops because GM crops are the future of the nation, because we do not know when the normal traditional crop will lose the yield. So to substitute the the losing yield through normal crops, we have to go for GM crops only. That is the future. We do not know when that condition is going to arrive. If the condition is arriving, can we say we will go back to the normal one? Because it is not possible, because the population is increasing like anything. To feed the world population, we need something else. So through GM crops, we can also make nutrition security also. We can add nutrition to the crop. Many things are there. For example, zinc added rice is there, like that many. For example, we have this golden rice. So the rice which has more of vitamins, which has more of vitamin A and B. So that is golden rice. These are all outcome of GM crops only. These are all outcome of GM crops only. See, that is the reason. So again, opinion must be yours. Opinion must be yours. You can go against or for, but have a solid proof and backing. Fine. So coming to subsidies. So coming to subsidies. Subsidies. How distribution cost is linked to farmer. Where? See it. See, I think you didn't see this word plus. They are asking the formula actually. They are asking the formula. It is not linked to farmer actually. They are asking the formula. Fine. Subsidies are two types. Direct subsidies and indirect subsidies. Indirect subsidies. So what do you mean by direct subsidies? The direct subsidies are subsidies given directly to the farmers. So they are given directly. So the cash is given directly to the farmers, either as cash on hand or through the account through DBT. DBT. So this is called as direct subsidies. This is called as direct subsidies. So what do you mean by direct subsidies? The farmers can realize the cash. The farmers can realize the cash. They can get the cash and they can spend. They can spend. So that is called as direct subsidies. The cash is given either to them as cash on hand or either through the account through direct benefit transfer or some other technique. What is that? Income support scheme. Income support scheme. Income support scheme. Like universal basic income. Like universal basic income. But that is not in practical. But the concept was suggested 5 years before. Universal basic income. Universal basic income. Then what about indirect subsidies? Indirect subsidies are given to the inputs, not to the farmers directly, but to the inputs. For example, fertilizer subsidies are given to the fertilizer companies. Pesticide subsidies are given to the pesticide companies. Electricity subsidy, power subsidy is given to the discoms. Irrigation subsidies is given to the drip companies, sprinkler companies. So what it means, the farmer cannot realize the cash on hand, but he can enjoy a subsidized product or a subsidized service. This is called as indirect subsidies. PM, yes, it's a direct right, direct only. PM Kisan is a direct subsidy. Very good. Kisan Samman Nidhi is a direct subsidy. Fine. So here we are giving to the inputs. So here farmers can only enjoy a subsidized product or subsidized service. For example, when it is a power consumption, it is a power subsidy, he can enjoy a free current service, but he cannot get the cash on hand. Cash on hand. That is the difference between direct subsidies and indirect subsidies. Sometimes UPSC will give you some subsidies and they will ask you to pick what is the direct subsidy and what is the indirect subsidy. Fine. So when we talk about subsidies, so in India we are having MSP. So MSP for 23 crops. So according to economic survey, it is 22 crops. According to economic survey, it is 22 crops. Or according to the website of CACP, it is 23 crops. So the data is ambiguous. So 22 and 23 are both correct only. So you have a doubt regarding the number of crops. I am giving two sources. One is the economic survey is telling the MSP crop are 22. But the CACP website is telling that number of MSP crops are 23. Okay, both are right only. Fine. So according to economic survey, 22 crops plus 1 are under MSP. 22 crops plus 1 under MSP. That one crop is nothing but sugarcane. So for sugarcane, it is not given as MSP, but it is given as FRP, fair and remunerative price. Are you all receiving the message? Fine. For 22 crops, we are giving MSP. For the one crop for sugarcane, we are giving FRP, fair and remunerative price, fair and remunerative price. So what is the difference between MSP and fair and remunerative price? Are you all listening? Because I don't see any activity. Suppose someone tell me some. Okay, fine. So for MSP, the government is giving the MSP. The government will be giving the MSP to the farmers. So that is MSP. For fair and remunerative price, so instead of government, the sugar mills and sugar industries, the sugar industries will be giving the fair and remunerative price to the farmers. So in MSP, the government will give the MSP. But for FRP, fair and remunerative price, it is the sugar owners or mill owners or the sugar industries. They will be giving the fair and remunerative price to the farmers. So one side is the government, one side on behalf of the government, the sugar industries will be giving the fair and remunerative price. Fine. Then who fixes the MSP? Who fixes the MSP? So MSP is fixed by whom? Did economics sir told you about this? So we have a body called Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. We have a body called, okay fine, I will teach you, no more. We have a body called Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. It is nothing but a survey, a body which do surveys. They will do a survey based on which they will come with the MSPs. They will come with the MSPs for all the 23 crops. They will recommend to the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. They will recommend it to the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs on fixing the MSP for 23 crops. It is finally the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs which fixes the MSP. So the MSP is recommended by CACP. So CACP is only a recommendatory body. Then who fixes the MSP? It is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs headed by Honorable Prime Minister will fix the MSP. So don't fall prey, because 2 times it was asked. Many students went wrong because many wrote CACP will fix the MSP. No, CACP won't fix the MSP. CACP only recommends the fixation. Then who fixes? It is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs will fix the MSP. That is very important. So don't go wrong in this. Fine. So for all the MSPs. So when the MSP will announce before the sowing season. That is for Rabi crops before the Rabi sowing season. Then for the Kharif crop before the Kharif sowing season. So before the Rabi season and before the Kharif season. So on a year there will be 2 times MSP will announce. So MSP will be announced twice in a year. So that is before the sowing season. That is before Rabi season once and before the Kharif season once. So that is MSP. Fine. So now, in MSP, rice and wheat is procured by whom? So in MSP, rice and wheat are procured by Food Corporation of India. The rice and wheat are procured by Food Corporation of India. Food Corporation of India is a statutory body. It is a statutory body under Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So Food Corporation of India is a statutory body. It will procure the rice and wheat at MSP to the government. So FCI will do that. So not only FCI will do that, along with FCI we have this State Food Corporation of India, Central Warehousing Corporation and other State Warehousing Corporation plus private bodies. So who are all doing this? One is Food Corporation of India, second is State Food Corporation of India and Central Warehousing Corporation, State Warehousing Corporation and other private institutions like private godown owners, etc. They also do the procurement of rice and wheat. So when it comes to rice and wheat, it is FCI who is doing this. It is State Food Corporation, it is Central Warehousing Corporation, it is State Warehousing Corporation and other private institutions. They all do the procurement. So what is procurement price? What is procurement price? The price at which rice and wheat or all the commodities are procured from the farmers by the government is called as procurement price. The price at which the producers or the commodities are procured by the government or the FCI from the farmers is called as procurement price. This is very important. Fine. Normally the procurement price will be greater than or equal to MSP. So it cannot go the other way. It cannot go the other way. So the procurement price will be greater than or equal to MSP. Should be greater than or equal to MSP. Fine. Okay. For cotton, who will do the procurement? For cotton, who will do the procurement? It is Cotton Corporation of India. For cotton, the procurement is done by Cotton Corporation of India. Then for jute, procurement is done by Jute Corporation of India. Jute Corporation of India. Then for these crops and all, for tobacco, for copra. So this is decentralized procurement. Here we call this decentralized procurement, which means that the local private players will be procuring. The local MNCs, local private players, the other private bodies will be doing this tobacco and copra. For example, tobacco and all, ITC will procure for ITC, and for some other company, some other company will procure. For copra and all, we have many distributors and wholesalers where they will be procuring directly from the farmers. So they will procure at what? Either at MSP or more than MSP. So minimal MSP must be given, or more than MSP it should be given. So procurement price will be always more than MSP or equal to MSP. Okay, fine. Already told you for sugar cane, it is given by whom? Sugar mills. Sugar cane, it is sugar mills. Sugar cane, we told you it is nothing but by sugar mills. So this is also very important. So don't go wrong in this. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. After FCI is procuring the food grains, it will issue to the state government. Okay, it is issued to the state government. The food grains will be procured by FCI or other institutions. So why do we have MSP for tobacco, which is dangerous to health? Very good. See, in economics you would have studied, no, sin goods. So some goods are sin, but unfortunately that is also consumed by the people. For example, tobacco. For example, alcohol. So these are all sin goods, but still people consume it because it is like a recreation for them. It is something which the government cannot take it from the people. But at the same time, why MSP is given? No, to ensure that tobacco farmers are given the minimal price. This is to protect not the end consumers. This is to protect the tobacco farmers actually. So based on only MSP for tobacco, these farmers will be producing tobacco. Suppose if there is no MSP for tobacco, then who will produce tobacco? Instead they will go for cotton, or instead they will be going for rice. Fine. Decentralized procurement for which crops? Other than for all these, no, for like for tobacco, copra, pulses, etc. It is all decentralized procurement. Other than for rice, wheat, sugar cane, cotton and jute, all are other decentralized procurement only. Fine. Maybe Maheshwar, for you tobacco may not be important, but for many people tobacco is very important. So we cannot do that because tobacco and alcohol gives more revenue to the government. See, when we had a huge pandemic, the government could not ban Tasmac. Why? Because Tasmac produces around 40 to 45,000 crore per annum revenue to the Tamil Nadu government. If that is the case with alcohol, the same thing is also good for tobacco only. This is a huge source of income. So the government is not willing to give that income to some other people, or it is not going to forgo the income. So for this and all, we cannot be more ethical for these things, because this is something unethical, but government has to go with it because it is a huge source of revenue for government. Maheshwar, you are a very good boy. You don't want tobacco, but many have the habit of having tobacco, right? No, sugar mills cannot procure below MS, so FRP. No, it cannot be done. Fine. Either they go with MSP or FRP, or they should go above FRP. They cannot go below. If they go below FRP, then they are liable for penalization or even prosecution. Penalization or prosecution. Fine. So now, according to our FCI, the total capacity of FCI is around 80 million tonnes. 80 million tonnes. 80 million tonnes. The total capacity of Food Corporation of India is around 80 million tonnes. Who will fix FRP? Again, CCEA, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, will fix the FRP. CCEA. Fine. 80 million tonnes. So in that, around 65 million tonnes. 65 million tonnes will be as godowns. So in India, we are having a food procurement and buffer stock. We call it as buffer stock. In FCI, the buffer stock. Okay, this is buffer stock. The buffer stock limit in India is around 80 million tonnes. We have a capacity to store 80 million tonnes of what? Rice and wheat. So we have this much capacity. In that 80 million tonnes, 65 million tonnes will be stored as godowns, and other 15 million tonnes will be stored under open area. This is called as cover and plinth method. So they are stored under plastic tarpaulins. Plastic and plastic tarpaulins. It is called as cover and plinth method. See, our buffer stock need is around only 40 million tonnes only. So for India, the buffer stock limit is only 40 million tonnes. But look how much we are having. We are almost having 2 times the necessity for India. Which means that we need only 40 million tonnes of buffer stock, but instead what we are having? We are having twice the buffer stock what we need. Why we are going for such a robust procurement? And this is because of one policy called as open-end procurement. So what do you mean by open-end procurement? Suppose I am a farmer producing rice, and Maheshwar is also a farmer producing rice. I am producing 25 quintals. Maheshwar is producing 2 lakh quintals. The government has to procure the 25 quintals from me, as well as the 2500 or 2 lakh quintals from Maheshwar also. So government must not differentiate between small, big and all. Whatever I am giving, the government must procure. So this is what is called as open-end procurement. Because of this only, we are having surplus buffer stock. So whatever the farmers are producing, the government is procuring, which means that open-end procurement. So what the government is suggesting, instead of open-end procurement, we should go for closed-end procurement, which means that per person, this is the limit beyond which we will not procure. So this, by going for this, we can stop overflowing of this buffer stock. So we can only confine to 40 million tonnes. Rest 40 million tonnes can be used for pulses, oil seeds, etc. But unfortunately, in India, the buffer stock is now only for rice and wheat. It is completely dominated by rice and wheat. Then what happens for other crops like pulses, oil seeds? Who does the procurement? So normally FCI must do. But unfortunately, FCI is only burdened with rice and wheat. FCI does not interested on pulses and oil seeds. So instead of FCI, this person will be doing this one, NAFED. I don't know how many of you had heard about this. This is called as NAFED. Every state there is a NAFED, National Agricultural Marketing and Cooperative Federation. National Agricultural Marketing and Cooperative Federation. It is a statutory body. Ministry of Agriculture. It is a statutory body under Ministry of Agriculture. and this is established through a multi-state. It is established through a multi-state cooperative act. Multi-state cooperative act. This is established by a multi-state cooperative act. Multi-state cooperative act. This is called as NAFED. NAFED. Multi-state cooperative act. NAFED not only procures pulses and oilseeds, they also procures fruits and vegetables. They also procure fruits and vegetables. They procure all other agriculture commodities. This NAFED procure all other agriculture commodities. All other agriculture commodities. Not only agriculture commodities, even horticulture commodities. So this is a robust procurement mechanism. All other agriculture and horticulture commodities. NAFED. Okay, NAFED. State level also we have SAFED. State level we have STAFED. State Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation. So at central level we have NAFED. At state level we have State Agriculture Cooperative Marketing Federation. But this is not there in all the states. In Tamil Nadu we have SAFED. In some other developed state we are having SAFED. But NAFED is there in all the states. But SAFED only limited to some developed state and some other developing state. This is not mandatory. But this is throughout pan India. Fine. So when it comes to subsidies, when we talk about subsidy, we must talk about food subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, and fuel subsidy. I want you to say where we invest more on subsidy, or which subsidy we give more. The government gives subsidy where the highest subsidy is given. Any idea? Maheshwar is telling food. Fine. Any other? Fertilizer. Akshaya is asking me whether it is fertilizer. Fertilizers. Arshana, fertilizer. Sivapriya, fertilizer. Vinisha, PDS means you mean food. So PDS all put together can be called as food, right? Vamshi, fertilizer. Fine. So your logic is good. So fuel subsidy is around, we are giving around 40,000 crores. 40,000 crore rupees. Okay, rupees 40,000 crore rupees. Then what for fertilizer? Fertilizer is 80,000 crore. 80,000 crore, all rupees. The dollars kadayadu, rupees. Unit is very important. When you talk in UPSC, talk with units. Talk with units. Please don't give general answers. Talk with units. Food, 2.5 lakh crore rupees. Okay. The total subsidy India is giving around 3.5 lakh crore. Will be around 3.5 lakh crore. This is how the subsidies are scattered. So where we are investing on subsidy more? Food, then fertilizers, then last only fuel. But some 10 years before, fuel used to be second. Because both diesel and petrol were subsidized before this BJP government. No, during the Congress government they had given this administered pricing for diesel and petrol. Soon BJP government came, they took the administered prices and they put petrol under market pricing, which means that the market will determine. The government will not give subsidy for petrol. Now only diesel is alone subsidized. So fuel subsidy has come down to 40,000 from 90,000 or 1 lakh. So now it is only 40,000. So now the second position is by fertilizer, third is by fuel, first is by food. Food is a big issue here. Fine. So please understand this. This is very important, because if you go wrong in this, there are many questions where the UPSC is asked you to arrange descending order and ascending order based on the amount of subsidies we are spending. Fine. Now coming to MSP, I told you MSP is calculated by whom? It is calculated by CACP. CACP is under Ministry of Agriculture. So under Ministry of Agriculture. Okay, fine. It is a attached body. So this is very important. Many will think that this is a statutory body. No, it is not a statutory body. It is a attached body. What do you mean by attached body? It will be headed by a secretary level officer, like agriculture secretary or statistical secretary, like that. Some secretary will be assisting it, and CACP will have two farmers as members. Very important. It will have two farmers as members. So what is the attached body? So whenever there is a purpose, they will sit together. When the purpose is over, the body will dissolve. This is the advantage of a attached body, like a ad hoc body. Whenever there is a purpose, they will sit together. Whenever there is no purpose, they will dissolve. This is called as attached body. Remember, CACP is not a statutory body. It's not a statutory body. Fine. So CACP calculates the MSP based on data. I told you several data. Okay, fine. And before going for calculation of MSP in India, MSP, is it a legal right or not? Tell me whether MSP is a legal right or not legal right. So whether MSP is a legal right or not. Vinisha is telling me no. So Akash is telling me no. Archana, no. So MSP is not a legal right. Okay, is not a legal right. MSP is not a legal right. It is only a policy. It is only a policy. When it is a legal right, the government must give that right. But when it is not a legal right, the government even can not give the right to the particular farmers. So that is the reason why we had a big ambush in Delhi, where the capital, the Punjab farmers, Haryana farmers protested for making MSP a legal right. Right now in MSP, it is not a legal right. It is only a executive order, or it is only a policy. It is only a policy. So when it is not a legal right, it is not mandatory for the government to give the commodities the MSP. So why it is a big problem? No. Why the government is not making it mandatory? Because only 6 to 10% of Indian farmers are getting benefits by MSP. And in that 60% farmers, 60% is from Punjab and Haryana. This is the reason why MSP is a big problem when it comes to Punjab and Haryana, because in India overall only 60% or 10% people are getting MSP. In that, around 60% are from Punjab and Haryana farmers, which means that most of the MSP is shared by Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh farmers. So where and all this green revolution is more successful, those farmers are getting the MSP better. But other like northeastern, eastern states, western parts and some southern parts, we do not have a robust MSP followed. This is the reason why we are having a huge public outcry when it comes to the 3 farm laws, which we will be discussing the next class. So right now we can have a break for 5 minutes. And we can come back with calculation of MSP. We will start back the class. So coming to calculation of MSP, so we have three calculation of MSP. So coming to calculation of MSP, we have three calculation of MSP. One is A2. It is called as actual cost paid. A2 means actual cost paid. Actual cost paid. Normally the A2 is calculated based on these parameters. So please don't write these things. Just assume that it is based on several parameters. A2 is based on several parameters like demand and supply of the commodity, cost of production, then international price, then intercrop price parity. So these things are the basis based on which this actual cost paid. This is nothing but actual cost paid. Actual cost paid. Cost paid. So until 2018, farmers were given MSP based on this A2 only. So farmers were given MSP based on only A2. Only A2. Then after 2018, they were given based on this one, A2 plus FL. So this is nothing but A2 plus FL. Then what do you mean by FL? So here A2, I already told you, it is actual cost paid. What is FL means? Imputed cost on family labor. Imputed cost on family labor. So normally what happens, suppose if I am doing agriculture, I will be doing agriculture along with my family members and my children. So my family labor has not been taken into this A2 classification or A2 computation. But I am putting my work, my wife is putting labor, my child is putting labor, and other child is also putting labor. So our cost also has to be taken into consideration. So that is what is called as imputed cost on family labor. The same thing is what we are recommending for a housewife, because housewife is also putting lot of labor and work, but unfortunately her work is not been computed for GDP calculation, or it is not computed monetarily. So now the farmers are asking whether the family labor what they are putting in has to be also computed for this MSP calculation. So right now we are giving MSP 150, sorry, is 1.5 times of A2 plus FL, or 50% plus A2 plus FL. So 50% of A2 plus, that is 1.5 times of A2 FL. That if it is 100 rupees is A2 plus FL, it is nothing but 1.5 times of this is nothing but 150 rupees. 150 rupees. This is 50% of A2 plus FL. 50% of A2 FL plus A2 plus FL. This is nothing but again it will come to 150 rupees. 50% plus A2 plus FL, or 1.5 times of A2 plus FL. A2 plus FL. So this will be the MSP right now what we are giving to the Indian farmers. Either 1.5 times of A2 plus FL or 50% of A2 plus FL plus the A2 plus FL. So this is nothing but the MSP what we are giving right now. The MSP what we are giving right now. This was suggested by National Commission for Farmers. National Commission for Farmers. Headed by MS Swaminathan. Headed by MS Swaminathan. So he has given the recommendation to go for 1.5 times of A2 plus FL for the MSP crops, for all the MSP crops. Not only he has recommended this, he has recommended actually to go for this also. From here we should go for where? C2 cost. Then what do you mean by C2? But the farmers right now are demanding for C2 cost, but the government is giving only this A2 plus FL. So what do you mean by C2, or what do you mean by C2? C2 is nothing but comprehensive cost. Comprehensive cost paid. Okay, comprehensive cost paid. Then what do you mean by C2? Normally what happens, if I am having a land, if this is my own land, if this is my own land, suppose what what would have happened if I have rented my land for some other purpose? If I had rented my land for some other purpose, this is one condition. Suppose if I don't have land, if I am a tenant farmer, I would have taken a land for rent. So I will be paying the rent for that land also. I will be paying the rent for that land also. So those costs has to be also taken into consideration. That is nothing but A2 plus FL plus A2 plus FL plus the rent what I must be paying for my own land for which I am cultivating. Suppose if I am a tenant farmer, I will be paying rent to my tenant for my owner. So what is the rent I am paying for my land? That has to be taken into consideration. Not only that, one, I have taken loan. Second, if it is my own land, what is the income I have forgone? The income forgone. What is the income I had forgone? Suppose if I am having 10 acres of land, if I am doing agriculture, suppose if I had invested that 10 acres for some other real estate, I would have got some other income. So what income I had forgone for the benefit of doing agriculture, that should be also computed in C2. So first is the rent what I am paying for the land for which I am cultivating. Second, what is the income I had forgone for my own land. And third is I would have taken loan from bank. Then what is the interest rate I will be paying to the bank? So all these put together makes C2. So first is what is the rent I will be paying to the owners if I am a tenant farmer. Second, what is the income I had forgone? Suppose if I had used the same land for some other purpose. In economic we call it as opportunity cost. So suppose if I am investing the same for real estate, if I am investing the same for some other purposes, I would have got some other good income. But instead of going for that, I am investing on agriculture. So the government, to incentivize me, has to given this income forgone. So this has to be computed. And finally, what is the interest I am paying for the loan for what I had taken from the bank or some other government institutions? That is called as interest. That is called interest paid to the loan taken. So all these put together is called as C2. So the farmers are asking 1.5 times of C2. The farmers are asking, give us 1.5 times of C2. 1.5 times of C2. This is the demand of the Indian farmers. These are the demand of the Indian farmers. Fine. But government is not doing that, because already with the A2 plus FL itself we are having around 2.5 lakh crore as food subsidies, etc. Suppose if you are going for C2, again some 40 to 50,000 crore will be added to the. No, that is a problem. That is not taken in A2 itself. In cost of production, the loan has not been taken into consideration. That is the reason why we are adding it separately in C2. Fine. So that is a flaw of A2. So with this, the calculation of MSP is over. We had seen public distribution system. So what will be the answer for this? So it is Agriculture Produce Market Committee Act, APMC. Fine. So APMC, we have to start with APMC. Fine. So I have not started APMC, or I started and left. I don't know where I left this last class. Did we start or did we not at all start? Okay, fine. So coming to APMC, okay, fine. coming to APMC, so as shown in the previous slide, it is nothing but Agricultural Produce Market Committee Act. Agriculture Produce Market Committee Act. So why APMC was brought? No. So in 1960s and 1950s, soon after independence, what happened? Suppose this is a village. Assume this is a village, or if this is a taluk. So there are many farmers doing agriculture. So what happened earlier, before this APMC, the private traders, the private players, or the private wholesalers, they come to the villages, and since these farmers are very small and marginal, they could not take their produce to the nearby states or nearby villages or nearby places. So what happens, these private players will enter into this area and they will procure from the farmers at a very low price, than the price what is prevailing in the market. So the illiteracy of the Indian farmers, first thing, and again the ignorance, because that time we don't have any data. Now we have cell phone, etc., but that time what was the data? They don't have any hand-on data to check what is the prices of nearby village, what is the price of nearby area. So their illiteracy and their ignorance has been misused by all the private players and all the MNCs, all the other private institutions. What happened, to protect the farmers from these things? We developed this APMC. in 1970s. So we protected APMC. What happened to the APMC? Suppose if this is a taluk, assume that this is a taluk. For a taluk, assume that there is a APMC. So all the village farmers who are procuring or doing agriculture, should be selling their produce only to the APMCs. They cannot take their produce outside the APMC. Suppose if he is taking the produce outside the APMC, then his membership for this APMC will be disqualified. He will lose the membership for this APMC. And at the same time, suppose if this is a private commodity, if this is a private player, he cannot enter into this iron shield. This is like an iron shield, because if APMC is operating in this area, no private players cannot enter into this particular ecosystem. No one can enter. So this APMC was started to shield Indian farmers from these selfish private players. So no private player can enter. So now means the APMC, which is a government body, will ensure a better price for the Indian farmers. That is what is called as price discovery. So the Indian farmers, to better have price discovery, the APMC was initiated to have a better price discovery. Better price discovery means more profit for their commodity. So for the reason only this APMC was started. So when this APMC was started, so it is mandatory that all the Indian states, right, to 28 plus the union territories, must pass this APMC Act in their respective state. They must pass the APMC Act in their respective states. So all the states right now have passed this APMC Act. All the 28 plus, all the 7 to 8 union territories had passed this APMC Act. So fine. So the APMC, which was brought as a savior for the Indian farmers, finally became a draconian for Indian farmers. How? That was the biggest sad thing to happen. What happened? I told you earlier, the APMC will be here. This is APMC. Now what happened? Since no private player can be entered here, the APMC has become a monopoly market, which means that it is not allowing any private player to enter into that particular locality, which means that the APMC is gaining more power, monopoly power, because it is the only market where farmers can bring their produce. Whether they are doing corruption or not, whether they are doing efficiently or not, nothing is immaterial, because whatever you are producing, you cannot go out, or no one can come and take the product. So you have to, willing or not willing, you have to sell it to APMC only. The first problem with APMC is the monopoly power of APMC, because no one is allowed to enter outside or no one is allowed to enter inside. The first thing is monopoly. Second, the administration. The biggest problem is administration. What happened to APMC? Normally how it functions. So when there is APMC, all the farmers of that particular locality are the members. So if this is APMC, if this is APMC, who are all the members? The farmers will be the members. The farmers on what side will be the members? The wholesalers, the traders, the middlemen, some other business people. So these are the members of this APMC. These are the members of this APMC. So either all the members have right to vote. All the members have right to vote. So this APMC will be run by a APMC Market Committee Board. So this APMC will run by a APMC Market Committee Board. APMC Market Committee Board. So the problem starts here, because this APMC Market Committee Board will elected by all the members based on adult franchise, which means that everyone above 18 years of age will be able to vote. One person will have one vote, and this one person will be electing this APMC Market Committee Board. See, the Market Committee Board must have farmers, must have traders, must have wholesalers, must have retailers, etc. All these put together will form the APMC Market Committee Board. And this Market Committee Board will be headed by one chairman. Will be headed by a chairman. And who is the chairman? Normally the district collector or an IAS officer will be the chairman of this Market Committee Board. This is how it functions. Then what is the role of this Market Committee Board? The Market Committee Board fixes the entry fees. They put the rules and regulations, taxes, levies, and bylaws. So it is a role of the Market Committee Board. To put on all these things: the rules of that APMC, regulations of this APMC, the taxes of that APMCs, the levies of that APMC, the bylaws. Bylaws are nothing but the procedures through which that APMC must be functioning. That is what is called as bylaws. So these things are all regulated by whom? The APMC Market Committee Board, which is headed by the particular collector or IAS officer. Then this APMC fixes the price. Marketing Board fixes the price of the commodity, the size of the commodity, how much must be brought in, what are the commodities to be brought into the market, everything, all the decision making power has been given to this APMC Marketing Board. Unfortunately, what happens? Suppose if this is a district, assume that this is APMCs. These are the APMCs. Suppose there are 9 APMC within a district. Under the APMC Act, this APMC A, B, C, D, E, F. All these 6 APMCs will have different rules, different regulations, different bylaws, different tax structures, different levies, and multiple entry fees. For example, A will have multiple entry fees. For example, traders will have 1 entry fees, retailers will have 1 entry fees, wholesalers will have 1 entry fees, potato farmer 1 entry fees, tomato farmer 1 entry fees. So multiple entry fees, multiple taxation structures, confusing regulations, everything. So A will be different from B, B will different C. So no uniformity in administration. So this is how it was functioning. Though they are all structurally the same, but functionally they are highly different, because every APMC functions like a mini parliament or mini state legislation. So because of these complex procedures, what happened? Because of these complex procedures, the farmers were exploited. How they were exploited? For example, suppose if I am a farmer, I am bringing in 100 kilograms of onion. Assume that we are bringing in 100 kilograms of onion. So when I am auctioning that onion, what happened? The worth of this onion is, assume that it is 1 lakh rupees. So when I am going for onion auctioning, I'm supposed to get 1 lakh rupees, but I'm going for auction. The traders, what they will do, they will form a cartel. The traders, what they do, they form a cartel. They form a cartel. Cartel means they form a group. They form a group. For example, there are 3 traders who is taking part in the auctioning. First trader will ask for 50,000 rupees. Second will ask for 70. Third will for 75k. That is 75,000. Beyond which they will not ask for any auctioning, which means that beyond 75,000 I will not get any commodity price. So since I already brought in onion to this market, and again I cannot take it back to my home or to some other places, so what I will do, whatever prices I am getting, I will sell and go. This is what is called as distress selling. Distress selling. So based on the price what I am getting, I am selling and going. Though my market price is something 1 lakh rupee worth product I am bringing, because of this cartelization, this ABC nexus. Nexus means they have formed a union. So what they do, they will not increase the price beyond 75,000. So the farmer here is incurring a loss of 25,000. The traders are getting a surplus of 25,000 or a bribe or a corruption of 25,000. So for single farmer, if this is the corruption, look after millions and millions of farmers are trading through APMCs. How many corruptions will be happening? How many types of corruption will be happening? This is the problem with APMC. Cartelization. We call it as cartelization. Cartelization. We call it as cartelization. Not only that, one more thing, weighing. In weighing also there's a big problem. In weighing and all, what is the corruption is happening? In weighing and all, what is the corruption happening? For example, suppose I am taking a weight. I am taking my weight at 8 o'clock right now. I am taking a weight at 2 different places. Will I have the same weight at 2 places or not? Will I have the same places or will I have the same weight at 2 places or not? Suppose assume that my weight is 65 kilograms. I am taking at Shankar IAS Academy. At the same time, I am walking some few meters. I am taking at a nearby hospital. Will it be same or not? Will I have the same weight or not? Why, Maheshwar? I am taking at 2 places. Why I am not having same weight? So that is good. So personal experience. So Maheshwar is personal experience that he's not having same weight. Fine. Meanwhile, before going there, you should have taken a pizza or burger, right? So the price differs. So the weight differs. So what happens? No, this is because calibration errors. We call it as calibration errors because suppose if there's a machine, if 100 people are getting in and getting down, that 100 people are adding to the wear and tear of that particular machine. So every day morning, that particular machine has to be calibrated, which means that it has to be standardized. So when you don't standardize on everyday morning, what happens? The wear and tear will lead to some loss of kilograms or some addition of kilograms because of the change in the standardization. So this also happens because in this APMC, the earlier what they will do, they were using this brick and mortar system. What do you mean by brick and mortar system of weighing machines? The earlier mechanical weighing machines, they were using the mechanical weighing machines. I know, have anyone not seen this mechanical machines? Or mulla irukkum and mulla or like this we'll be doing, no, like this machines will be on a larger scale. So for every 1 ton, for every 1 ton, they will load 50 kilograms. Just for example, I'm saying they will load 50 kilograms. Who? The market committee board. They will calibrate the machine such a way that for every 1 ton of what produce, they will calibrate the machine such a way that they will get 50 kilograms of looting. 50 kilograms of looting. So every farmer will lose 50 kgs. Suppose this is for 1 ton. Assume the millions and millions of tons what we are trading in APMCs. In India, we are having around 8,000 plus APMCs. So in 8,000 APMCs, how much worth of commodities we are trading? That much worth of commodity into 50 kilogram will lead to some other massive corruption is happening in the APMC. This is even in a small weighing machine. Then scientific grading. Our APMCs do not have scientific grading. What do you mean by scientific grading and sorting? Normally, your product must be classified under scientific grading and sorting. What do you mean by scientific grading and sorting? Means suppose you are breeding some turmeric. You are bringing some turmeric. In Erode and all, we are having a robust turmeric market. You are bringing turmeric. The turmeric must be put to auction based on its quality, grade. So only scientific grading has to be done. For example, A, B, C are the 3 grades. Scientifically, we have to classify A and B and C, but it is not happening scientifically. But what will happen? The market committee board will decide whether it is A quality, B quality, or C quality. Even though farmer are bringing A quality, they will classify it B quality, or they will classify it C quality. So necessarily they are putting the quality of the products to the farmers to the lowest one. So in that also they are doing corruption. In that also they are using corruption. So like this, the farmers are managing to get only losses. This is the reason why the APMC, which was assumed to be a very good one for the Indian farmers, has failed to tackle that particular. What happened? No, corruption. Biggest corruption happened. So every APMC is highly corrupted, because I told the monopoly nature, the entry fees, multiple entry fees, multiple levies, multiple taxes, cartelization, standard weighing machines is not there, then scientific grading is not there. So all these put together lead to corruption, nothing but corruption. So this is the reason why most of the APMCs in India have failed miserably, Fine. Then to alleviate all these problems, then we came with this model APMC. So many states amended the APMC Act, amended their. No, even APMC, both in APMC, both MSP crops are brought as well as non-MSP crops. For example, onion, potato, tomato are also brought. Rice and sugarcane and rice and wheat are also brought. Now, Punjab Bandal, farmers are selling rice only through MSP, only to this APMC. So both MSP crops as well as non-MSP crops are brought. That is the reason why Punjab farmers and Haryana farmers are protesting. See, not every village is having APMC. Suppose if this is a region, for every region, suppose for 8 to 10 villages there will be one APMC, or 10 to 20 villages there will be one APMC. Not every APMC we don't have no, not like that. For example, only I tell every village one APMC, but it is not like that. For every 10 to 20 villages or every 50 to 60 villages there will be one APMC. But all APMC will headed by IAS officer, but not necessarily he must be the district collector. Not necessarily he must be the district collector. Sometimes assistant collector may be there, sometimes sub collector may be there, sometimes some other persons deputed for this one. So it may be anyone, but IAS officer will be the head. Fine. Normally for APMCs, for traders also some other issues are there, but compared to farmers, the issues with the traders are very limited. Normally the traders are the one who loot. They are also facing some problems because they have to face strong, they also have to pay bribe to this market committee board. No, they have to take the bribe to the market committee board. So because of this bribe and corruption, everyone is facing problem. But the most affected community is what? The farmers. Yeah, in Tamil Nadu we have both APMC as well as private. We have both. So we have both. That is what I'm telling. No, the private comes with model APMC. We have come with model APMC. So what do you mean by model APMC? So many states from APMC had moved on to model APMC. Then what is mean by model APMC? So in model APMC, what happens? Either already I told you, if there is one APMC here, if there are villages here, earlier they can go only to this APMC. They're willing or not willing, they can go only to this APMC. So they have monopoly. Now in this model APMC, if there is another APMC nearby, so these villages can go to this nearby APMC also. This is the first point for model APMC. Now the monopoly of this APMC has been taken away. Has been taken away completely. So any farmer willing to go out of the APMC can go out. Even if he is going out of this particular APMC system, if he is going to a private player, he can go. He is now permitted to go after a private player. Not only a private player, even a private player come inside a APMC, can enter into a APMC. Earlier they were prohibited. For example, I am Reliance. I am interested in procuring onions of this village. Earlier Reliance will not come. Now through model APMC, Reliance can come into this village area and they can procure the onions from the farmers and they can do business. They can do business. Normally, what we see in the Palamudi Chole and all, they are normally procuring directly from the farmers. Procuring directly from the farmers. That is why they are able to give prices. I mean, fruits and vegetables to a minimal pricing, minimal pricing. So because of this only, model APMC, because of this only, they are able to enter into the already existing APMC structure. Fine. Now, throughout the state, there must be uniform taxation. Throughout the state, there must be uniform taxation. Throughout the state. I told you if 100 APMCs are in that particular state, earlier 100 APMC will function independently. Now it is not like that. In model APMC, all the 100 APMC must have uniform taxation structure, uniform laws, rules, regulations, and single entry fees. So now only single entry fees you have to pay. Suppose if you had paid for entry fees at A APMC, so when you are going for B APMC, you don't have to pay any fees. With that A receipt alone, we can go to this B. So single entry fees. So all that was a big complex yesterday, I mean last time, has been all rectified in the model system, in the new system that is called as model APMC. Now only single entry fees, single rule, single regulations, uniform tax section, uniform levies, everything. So now the complex procedures has been all weighed off. All has been weighed off. And weighing machines has to be more digital. Weighing machines has to be more digital. Earlier I told mechanical machines. All the mechanical machines were put out of use. Now all made into digital. All made into digital. So like this, all the APMCs has been modernized. So from model APMCs, now the government is moving towards ENAM. So from model APMCs, the government is moving towards ENAM. We are moving towards ENAM. So ENAM we will see in the next class. Now, any doubts in APMC so far? But unfortunately, model APMC is only success in only small states. I mean, few states. See, the traders I told, no, the middlemen, traders, everyone, they will take the produce from the farmers at the APMCs to the nearby market. From that market, the private people will procure. So the private cannot enter, but from these traders, from these wholesalers, from these businessmen, from these middlemen, they can take from the nearby areas. So like that, only the privates were doing business earlier. But they all changed with the entry of this model APMC. Now even the private players are coming into. For example, we have this simple example is what we have, this all these retail shops, like Spencer's, Palamudi Chole, and other MNCs, Walmart and all. Now they are doing directly to the farmers farm gate. They're procuring and coming to their point of sales. This is how it is happening right now. Earlier they cannot go enter it directly. Instead they will be taking from the retailers or take from wholesalers. For example, Coimbatore market, people will go take from the nearby village. From the Coimbatore market, these people will take. Like that it has to be happened the last time. But now it has all changed. Only few states it is more successful. Model APMCs, though implemented in many of the states, still the whole system prevails. Still the whole, for example, why Punjab, Haryana, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh could not succeed in this model APMC, because though they say model APMC, still the old APMC is prevailing there. So technically speaking, it is model APMC, but practically what they are practicing is that the old APMC, because it is more corruption. It's more of corruption. So the farmers, the tradesmen who are normally political peoples, they don't want to lose the corrupted money, so they still follow the same old system. No, we don't have any condition like that. No like condition. So in a state where in the Uttar Pradesh and all, we are having around, in that particular state around, we are having more than 1,500 to 2,000 APMCs, the most by any other state in the country. Okay, fine. So contract farming is today. Did you see allelopathy? Did we see allelopathy? Okay, fine. So this question was asked in one of the mains paper, allelopathy. So technically speaking, it is a completely agricultural question, but unfortunately, it is asked in mains paper once. So what do you mean by allelopathy? Anyone? See, this was asked for 15 marks, I guess, 15 or 10 marks. No one knew this. At that time, it was asked in 2016. I also wrote the same exam. So when I saw allelopathy, I thought, okay, this is something related to our subject, and I wrote the answer. But many couldn't guess what it is. So instead of allelopathy, many wrote allopathy and came. So unfortunately, all were wrong. So allopathy is different from allelopathy. Alleles, genes related, good guess, but wrong answer. Vinisha, are you a biology student? Alleles and all, you are speaking right. Allelopathy. So I don't know how many of you have gone to this Ooty. Even if you have gone to this Ooty, I don't know how many of you watched this. So when you have gone to this Ooty and all, normally you will see this eucalyptus gardens or forest. So you have seen this eucalyptus gardens or forest where, suppose if this is eucalyptus, so behind or between two eucalyptus trees, or in that eucalyptus forest, below this eucalyptus trees, you will not see even a single vegetation. No big vegetation will be here. Why? Because this eucalyptus trees have leaves. This eucalyptus trees leaves and roots. They emit some chemicals. Which are harmful for the plant which are growing underneath. So if this is a plant growing underneath, so this chemical released from the leaves and from the roots will not allow any plant to grow nearby. And also no, this eucalyptus roots, the roots will suck the water like anything. So it will not allow any other particular plant within the rear side to grow. This is what is called as allelopathy. So chemical exudates, for example, chemical exudates of one crop will have a detrimental effect on the crop nearby. Chemical exudates of one crop will have a detrimental effect on the crop nearby. This is what is called as allelopathy. Fine. What are the other examples? I don't know how many of you have seen this plant, Parthenium. Have you seen this Parthenium? This is one example. Parthenium is also called as Congress weed. This is one example. Tamarind tree. This is one example. Then sunflower. Then Prosopis. This is very common. Prosopis juliflora. சீமக்கருவேலம் கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? சீமக்கருவேலம். This is nothing but Prosopis. இது ஒரு வருஷம் யூபிஎஸ்சியில் கேட்டிருக்காங்க. 2018 question, 19 question. சீமக்கருவேலம். It's like see, how many of you watched Karnan? No, Karnan. How many of you watched Karnan movie? Vinisha has watched. I think there are around 23% in this online classes. No one has watched Karnan except Vinisha. No, not all invasive species have allelopathic effect. Some invasive species have allelopathic effect, like eucalyptus, like Prosopis juliflora, etc., etc. Not all invasive species have this. Yeah. See, in that the entire village is haunted by this Prosopis juliflora. For example, the Dhanush, அந்த ஒரு கரியெல்லாம் போட்டு எரிச்சு அது மேலே நிற்பாங்கல்ல, the one where you will be standing over the one burning ஒரு இது கறி எரிஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கும்ல, that is nothing but the charcoal of this burned juliflora. This Prosopis is a very good charcoal. When it is burned, it will turn into charcoal. So for those people who are living in this dry region, no, for those people, this Prosopis juliflora, this wood will be turned into charcoal by heating and burning. So that is what Dhanush will be doing. Dhanush and his family will be doing that one only. Their economic activity, the source of income is what? Selling this charcoal. This Prosopis juliflora is a very good economic activity for them. So that is the reason why when the government of, the High Court asked everyone, the government to remove this Prosopis juliflora, then one bench of High Court stopped this one, because for most of the people in dry land region, this Prosopis juliflora is a big livelihood. It's an economic activity, because only through that charcoal they are earning their livelihood. That charcoal is more used in this, நம்ம இதெல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்றோம் இல்லையா, the one who does history and all, for that all this charcoal only used. I don't know how many of watched that scene. ஞாபகம் இருக்கு அந்த சீன், ஒன்று ஞாபகம் இருக்குமே, ஒரு கருப்பு கலர்ல ஒரு பெரிய இதை போட்டு எரிச்சிட்டு மேல இருந்து அவங்க வெறும் காலால மிதிச்சிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. I don't know how many of you remember the scene. That is nothing but the charcoal. That is what this charcoal, the Prosopis juliflora charcoal தான் அவங்க எரிச்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க. That is their livelihood. That is their livelihood. So அதுதான். So this is called as allelopathy. This is called as allelopathy. Fine. Yeah, it is when they burn this Prosopis juliflora, it will convert into a coal. It will convert into coal. That coal can be used for burn. We can use for domestic purposes. That can be used for this ironing and all. No, iron people and all use that only. Either coconut one or this one. They'll be using this. Then also this Prosopis juliflora coal is used as a water purifier. It is used as a water purifier. It is used as a water purifier. So it purifies the water. Normally, in water purification, one layer of charcoal will be there. So this Prosopis juliflora is one layer of charcoal in water purification. Mostly traditional method, no? They are used as water purification, etc. Fine. So coming to watershed, very important concept called as watershed. So what do you mean by watershed? What do you mean by watershed? Any idea? Okay, fine. Water shedded as precipitation. Good. Any other? A simple thing. Water shed. The place where water is stored. It is a place where the water is stored. Simple in layman language. The place where water is stored. What happens normally? I don't know how many of you knew this word aquifer. How many of you knew this word aquifer? Anyone know what is aquifer? What is aquifer? In Tamil we call it as, oh my god. ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ஆன்லைனில் இருக்காங்களா? எனக்கு எந்த லாக் அவுட் ஆகிடுச்சு, அவங்க இருக்காங்களா? ஆ இல்லை, அது கனெக்டிங்னு வருது, ஆனால் கனெக்ட் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது. ஐடி சொல்லுங்க. 8. ஓகே. Fine. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry. Okay, fine. So nothing but aquifers are nothing but, yeah, groundwater. Yeah, same thing I'm talking about. Aquifers are nothing but the place where the groundwater is stored. The place where groundwater is stored. Normally, what happens if this is the soil? This will be the underneath soil. This will be the underneath soil where this will be a soil. All these will be soil, and this will be the bottom rock. This will be the bottom rocks. This will be the bottom rocks. This is how the soil underneath will look like, and between the soil, between these rocks will be the water. So between these rocks there will be water, and this water stored place is called as aquifer. This is called as aquifers. So the water which is stored between the rocks within the soil are nothing but within the underground is called as aquifers. Only in these aquifers we will get water. So normally when we go for boring, so நம்ம போர்ல போடும்போது what happens, நம்ம போர் போடும்போது என்ன பண்ணுவோம்னா we will try to hit this aquifer. So when you put for bore and when you hit this aquifer, then only we can get water. Suppose if you are hitting a rock, so you will not get water. That is the reason why some bores do not give you water. நம்ம அந்த போர் மூடாம போயிடுவோம், அந்த போர்ல குழந்தைங்க வந்து செத்து போயிடும். So that is the problem what is happening, right? So this is called as aquifers. So the one of the most important objective of watershed management is recharge of groundwater or recharge of aquifers. This is very important. This is one of the important objective of watershed management. Recharging of groundwater or recharging of aquifers. Second, preventing soil erosion. Preventing soil erosion. Then sustaining livelihood. So sustaining livelihood. This is a very important objective of watershed management. So watershed does not only storing of water, it is more than storing of water, which means that it has to sustain a economic livelihood of the people. It must be a sustaining of livelihood. So what are the conditions for establishment of a watershed? First thing, watersheds are normally erected at the places where it is dry or arid. Place where it is dry or arid, watersheds are developed. Watersheds are developed in the place where it is mostly dry or arid. So all these areas where we will go for watershed, because these places will be devoid of water. So where we have to recharge the groundwater, first thing. Second thing, the slope must be there for watershed. So only with the slopes the water can be harvested. So for a watershed to be successful, we need a minimal of slope. In the plain area we cannot go for a watershed. We must have minimal of slope for establishment of a watershed. So based on the size of the watershed can be a milli watershed to micro watershed to a mega watershed. So it can be, so based on the size it can be milli, micro to a mega watershed. Fine. Now how about establishment of a watershed? So now a watershed must have a watershed boundary. So are you all connected? Because the corrections are not good, so that is the reason why I am asking again. Okay, fine. So the watershed normally based on size can be milli, micro to mega. So don't worry about the classification and all. Based on, there are many classifications based on geography, agriculture and all. So that is not important. So normally this is a watershed boundary. So when you have a boundary of watershed, now every watershed must have a inlet. That is where the water enters. Normally only through the slopes of these areas the water will enter. So this is called as catchment area. All these places what I am drawing this line, no, this is called as catchment area. So only these places will catch the water. So once the water are catched, now the water has to go out. That is very important, right? So watershed must have a drainage also. This is the drainage of the watershed. So once the water is made to flow through this area, it will flow all through this area, then through this area it must go out. Through this area it must go out. So this is the inlet and this is the outlet and this is the catchment area. This is how a watershed looks like. Fine. What happens? Since this is a slope, I told you all these are slopes. So I told you in slope it is more vulnerable for erosion because when the water hits the slope, the soil is get detached, then it is sediments are rolled down, then it is get damage to a particular area. So soil erosion is vulnerable, right? This area is vulnerable for soil erosion. So this area is vulnerable soil erosion. So what happens? We have to reduce the splash of that particular erosion. Splash, that is what the first step of soil erosion, splash erosion. So what I must do? I must do contour blending, contour stone wall, or bench terracing, or some other structures. All these structures what we studied in the first class will be used here. So all the structures which can reduce the erosion, can be used here. So what is the purpose of these structures? So we are making the rainfall water which was earlier running to stop and go, which means that we are making it to walk. So that is the first step. Second, once the speed of that running water is reduced, then what happens? Then at the ground level we will be building many dams or check dams or small ponds or small reservoirs or small channels or small wells, etc. So what happens? The water which is coming through these slopes, which is already reduced, will be made to recharge these structures, wells, recharge structures, etc. So when the water enters through these structures, they will start to penetrate into the subsoil. So thereby these structures will start to recharge the aquifers. So once it is done, normally what we do? We need to do afforestation. So all this area we will go for afforestation. So all this catchment area will now be afforested, which means that we will be establishing a new forest. Now what happens? Suppose if there are persons nearby, suppose there are persons who are willing to do any agriculture activity, but unfortunately is not having any place to do. So what government will do? He will locate this person to here. So this person will be asked to come here. He will be given a land and he will be given all the inputs. He will be given loan and he will be given all the capital. Now this person will be asked to do agriculture in this established watershed. Already we have established watershed. No, we have established the resources, we have established the water, and again the land has become more fertile now. Now this person will be doing agriculture activity. Since this agriculture activity is doing by this person, many people will start to migrate to this area because this is more profitable, because for them that area is not profitable. Instead of going for migration for some other town or some other exotic areas, now this person will come to this area because the government is promoting, also incentivizing them and giving subsidies to enter into this area. Now everyone will come. So when they are coming, they are also bringing their families. So they are bringing their families too. So when they are bringing their families, we need some support system for these people. For example, we need hospitals, we need schools, we need primary health centers, we need recreational clubs, we need banks. So we need banks for them to support their credit needs. Bank, cooperative societies will be established. So all these support system will be also established. Now a community start to develop. Then for them to market, we need some market to establish. So we will be also establishing them some markets to take their produce, etc. So like this, a community which start to establish. Now they are doing agriculture. See, now these people will be asked to do agriculture. What agriculture? Sustainable agriculture. Normally ecosystem has to be more sustainable. Watershed should be more sustainable. So here the agriculture what they must be following must be only sustainable agriculture or natural farming, but they will not be doing the mechanical commercial agriculture, which is very detrimental to soil fertility and also to the which will be also favoring soil erosion. So they will be not doing that. So when they are doing sustainable agriculture, the environment will be also sustainable, which means that there will not be more pollution. They will be just less polluting the area, and toxicity of this area will be very limited. So they will be doing of a modern type of agriculture. So if all this is happening, then this economic status will be also increasing. This economic status will be also improving side by side. So what happens? He is doing profitable agriculture. His family is getting educated. His son is getting educated. His son will go out of this area for higher education. Assume it happens. He's going for higher education. So it's like a brain drain. This person is going out of this particular area. So it is like a brain drain. When this person is coming back to the particular area, it is called as brain drain. So when this particular child of this farmer is going out and coming back, is coming back with the technology. Is coming back with the technology. It will come with mechanization. It will come with some improved varieties, improved hybrids, or it will come with sprinklers, with more of agriculture modernization. So now the agriculture what they will be following will be of more modern, more scientific, more skill oriented, and more mechanized. So now the community has become more profitable. So economic viability of that particular process has happened. Not only the economic activity, not only the economic viability. Already I told you, when they are economically superior, environmentally also they are superior, because I told you what they will be following. They will be following sustainable agriculture. Environment has been also taken care of. When environment and economics has been taken off, then what about the society? The society will be more harmonious. What do you mean by harmonious? So when the economy is balanced, when the resource is balanced, I told you all these people will be allotted equal land, equal amount of land, equal amount of resources. Everyone will have to access to resources. There will be no classification here like discrimination at all people will be homogeneous. So when that, it is more of a egalitarian society. In IBC we studied, no, it is egalitarian society. Like that, the society will be all egalitarian nature. When it is more of egalitarian, the social harmony will be also very good here. So when it is socially good, economically good, environmentally good, this will thrive as a very good ecosystem, as an economic ecosystem, as a livelihood ecosystem. So here, this is the concept of watershed development. So it started with preserving soil fertility, recharging of water. Finally, where it had moved to, it had moved to a sustaining livelihood of people. So a watershed not only is limited to water harvesting, it is more than water harvesting, where we are sustaining a particular population, a particular ecosystem, or particular economic livelihood of some types of people or some sections of people. This is what is called a watershed development. So it's like developing a community. So we have many examples for watershed development. This is one. So this is about watershed development. I think the volume is not there. Volume வைக்க முடியுமா? வராதா? புரியல. வீடியோ ஆடியோ இருக்கு. வீடியோ ஆடியோ இருக்கு. So this is the advantage of watershed management. I don't know how many of you remember this person, Anna Hazare. So do you know Anna Hazare? So Anna Hazare is a military man. He is retired from taken voluntary retirement service from the military. At the age of 35 to 40, he returned to his village. His village is called as Ralegan Siddhi. It is in Maharashtra state. When he came back, he was very terrified to see his village, which was very fertile when he went for military 30 years back. Now it is completely a dry area. So what he decided, he invested all his retirement money for developing a watershed in Ralegan City. It is around 400 to 500 acres of area. Now it has been a model watershed village for the entire country. And this person, Anna Hazare, has been named Padma Shri, has been given conferred with Padma Shri for developing his hometown into a watershed management. Okay, fine. இங்க வருதோ? Okay, fine. இது இல்லையா? இந்த வால்யூமா? அங்க போணுமா? இங்க பாருங்க. சரி விட்டுடுங்க இல்லாட்டி எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். சரி விட்டுடுங்க, நான் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். போகும். So any doubts so far? Just only there are many schemes to improve the brain drain and all. Economic survey has given many schemes. அதை விட்டுடுங்க பரவாயில்ல. ஆயிடுச்சா? So So this is about watershed management. So the video does not have audio. It is having, but okay, fine. See, this is the catchment area where we will be catching the rainwater and all. So it's normally in a mountainous area, because that is the reason where we will start only in the mountain area. So this is the velocity water, where we are reducing the velocity of water using, these are the contour bends they are making mechanically through labors. So contour bends, guided valleys, etc. So they are making to water to, so contour stone walls. So they are building, right? This is called as farm bunds and all. So this is the contour. See, the entire contour has been turned into terraces. So they are trying to reduce the water speed. So the ultimate aim of this watershed is to reduce the velocity of water. That is the reason why we are going for watershed.
And the soil is not washed away. The rivers do not get flooded or silted. Thus, watershed development is an answer to two problems, that of drought and that of flooding. Earlier efforts of watershed development concentrated merely on water harvesting structures and ignored treating the watershed as a whole. This led to soil erosion and therefore siltation of the structure. While there have been other schemes of poverty alleviation through environmental regeneration, this has been the first large-scale approach where people were not mere beneficiaries but actual owners and implementers of the project. They helped themselves by regenerating the environment they lived in.
So 70 to 80% of the watersheds are failures only. Only 1 or 2 can be more successful. So 10 to 20% are more successful. So can you repeat some GM crops like golden rice? I told you BT brinjal, not only BT brinjal, there are many crops. Beet like golden rice, BT brinjal, GM mustard, GM sugarcane is there. So I don't remember the technical names. You want MSP formula? Which one? I have written 3 formulas. Which one you want? Karan. Which formula you want, Karan? Corruption, simple corruption, where the amount will be given to the local administration, local governance, like Panchayat and all. They will not be doing. Instead of doing, they will be just the paper it will be there, but in the reality, no watershed will be there. That's a problem. Corruption is the responsibility for most of the failed programs in India. All watershed or normally all the schemes are good only. The problem is, yeah, last formula right. The watershed is the problem. See, not only watershed, for everything, no. Corruption is the biggest problem. Every scheme is good. We have Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, but how many of the women are actually getting the benefits? We do not know. We have n number of schemes, but the problem is execution, where we fail in executing. We are good in implementing schemes, but not in execution of that schemes. So for this one, no, C2 is nothing but A2 plus FL plus, I told you, the rent paid for your land. This is the first one. Then the interest paid for your loan. This is third. And then the income forgone. Income forgone. Is the third one. So all these put together plus A2 plus FL is called as C2. So we call in Tamil as mulchedi, is also as prosopis. No, mulchedi நிறைய இருக்கு. முள்செடின்னு காமனாக எல்லாத்தையுமே சொல்லிடலாம். நிறைய முள்செடி இருக்கு. பட் சீம கருவேலங்கிறது மட்டும்தான் அந்த prosopis julifera. There are many thorny bushes. So every thorny bushes cannot be called as சீம கருவேல, right? only one plant can be called as Prosopis juliflora, and that is called as Semicarvelum. முள்செடின்னு சும்மா சொல்லலாம், கொலோக்கியலா சொல்லலாம், பட் நிறைய முள்செடி இருக்கு. எல்லாத்துலயுமே சார்கோல் எடுக்க முடியாது. That's also one of the reason. So income forgone. So rent paid for our land, then income paid for the loan what I had taken, and income forgone. Someone asked whether this will be taken in the A2 itself. No, that is a problem with the A2 because they have not taken the income paid on loan. So they had taken only the loan amount, but not the interest paid on. So it's not the interest paid on loan amount. That is the reason why we had included that in the C2. That had been included in the C2. So and the income forgone, that is what? See, what is income forgone means? So what is income forgone means? See, suppose income forgone, F-O-R-G-O-N-E, forgone, G-O-N-E, income forgone. So normally if this is my land, so I am doing agriculture. So I am getting 100 rupees per year for agriculture. Suppose if I had invested that for some other business, that same land for some other business, I am getting 150 rupees as annual income. So for doing agriculture, what is the income I had forgone? That is 50 rupees. So for agriculture, I am getting only 100 rupees per year. But if I had done the same for some other big business, I would have got 150 rupees. So 50 rupees I am incurring loss. That is the income I had forgone. For what? For doing agriculture, for the benefiting of this people, for the benefit of this government. So 50 rupees will be the income forgone, by that particular farmer. Forgone, G-O-N-E, not C-O-N-E, my mistake, forgone, right? Okay. Second formula is nothing but A2 plus FL plus, I told imputed cost on, so A2 plus FL is nothing but imputed cost on family labor, A2 plus FL, family labor. So FL is nothing but imputed cost on family labor, A2 plus FL is the second formula. A2 plus FL is nothing but imputed cost on family labor. What do you mean imputed cost on family labor? I told as a family I will be doing agriculture activity, which means that I will be involved as a labor, my wife will be involved as labor, my child will be involved as labor, and even my second child will be involved as all. We are putting labor, but that cost is not taken into consideration. Now this FL will take that cost and will be adding to the total cost of production. So that is, yeah, we can say C2 prevents that one. That is the reason why the government is also not giving C2. Yeah, class is over. So only doubt session is there. We can conclude the class. Anyone having doubt alone can remain. Others can sign out. Fine. I didn't see that movie, Nisha. Kape Rana Singama. I didn't see that movie. Actually, this has two sides of a coin. That is good for one type of people and bad for the land. So it has to be balanced for both terms, right? As a UPSC student, you should be also seeing the benefit of Prosopis juliflora. Because அந்த தனுஷ் படத்துல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அவர் அதை வித்து தான் வாழ்க்கையை ஓட்டிட்டு இருப்பாரு. அப்படிங்கிறவங்களுக்கு அந்த Prosopis juliflora எடுத்துட்டோம்னா then what is his livelihood? Who will take care of his income? UPSC ஆங்கிள் நம்ம அப்படியும் பார்க்கணும். ஹைகோர்ட் அதை பார்க்கல, அதனால தான் மறுபடியும் இன்னொரு பெஞ்ச் வந்து அதை பேன் பண்ணாங்க. ஸோ Prosopis juliflora நம்ம எடுக்கிறது தப்பு, பிகாஸ் இட் சஸ்டெயின்ஸ் எக்கனாமிக் ஆக்டிவிட்டி ஆஃப் millions of people in that ராமநாதபுரம் ஏரியா. பிகாஸ் அவங்களோட இன்கம் என்ன பண்றது, திடீர்னு எடுத்தா என்ன ஆகும்னு சொல்லிட்டு அதனால அதை ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. So this was asked for a student from that area. ஸோ வெறும் நியூஸ் பேப்பர் மட்டும் படிச்சுட்டு வெறும் ஈகோசிஸ்டம் டேமேஜ்னு பேசினதுனால அவருக்கு அங்கே வந்து பயங்கரமான ரிமார்க் வந்துச்சு. இல்லை அதோட அதர் சைட் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் நீங்கள் பார்க்கல அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒன் ஆஃப் மை ஃப்ரெண்ட் ஆல்சோ. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் ஐ ஆல்சோ ரெட் தட் ஆர்டிக்கல் வேர் த எக்கனாமிக் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் ஆஃப் திஸ் ஆல்சோ இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். ஸோ ஃபைன். So we can conclude. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow.